ladies in the middle. Checks back against Carter and scores. That is a typical Vivianne Lia goal.
Quickly gets it back again. Oh, what a goal! Well, that sums up her season. The Gunners are WSL champions.
A new era has arisen at Arsenal. A new manager has stepped forward. Renee Slegers is the new Arsenal women manager. Welcome to the Vic Akers Wonderland Podcast. It's me, Adam Salter, hosting for the first time this year, joined once again by my co-conspirators, the lovely Lottie and the magnificent Matt in the hat. And yes, Arsenal got a new manager. Finally, the waiting's over. I think we're not too surprised with the outcome, and I'm looking forward to digging into that. And of course, the small matter of Arsenal versus Crystal Palace this weekend. So, first of all, question for the pair of you, our normal opening gambit. I should say actually, first, politely not to, Lottie. How was the North London derby?
Oh, it was brilliant. Like, I know a lot of people say, oh, it's a really bad Spurs to beat, but the North London derby brings out sides to fans that tend to stay very buried. And if you were looking at my Instagram stories, you'd understand what I mean.
I thought that's not the Lottie I know. What is this monster that has been unleashed?
Yeah, I think most of the time I was more dreading at full time walking through the away end with all the Spurs fans coming out, and if we'd lost, it'd be insufferable, like it was for Man United. But we won, and kind of just walking through,
Life was a bit better.
Obviously, me and my co-conspirator Lucy were just walking through. She's all kitted out in her Arsenal gear, and like a couple of lads stopped us, and I was just like, "Oh God, here we go!" And all of a sudden, there was about 7 or 8 police officers on top of us. I was like, "What the hell is going on? We are 2 women. Like, we've done nothing. Go away." So, but yeah, it was interesting.
It's always
good to see.
It's the one game in the calendar I think you do not lose, and that is Spurs at home under any circumstances.
We haven't lost the last 6. We've got 1 draw and 5 wins.
Yeah.
So I'm not complaining.
Absolutely. Long may it continue. Matt, how has the week been for you?
Well, let's just say the men's did not enthusiastically impress me with their FA Cup run.
Well, yes. Well, hopefully, yes. We should
but
say, yeah.
Let's get away from the men's because the women's FA Cup was also on, and there was some really good games actually. I quite enjoyed having the opportunity to sit and watch other teams for a change that you don't really get to. London Bees versus Rugby Borough. I wasn't expecting that to be as one-sided as it was. It was Rugby Borough in the end who ended up winning that, and they got a nice draw out of that as well. So that would be another thing as well, is that there's now I can't remember who it is now. We've got, if we beat Bristol City, I think it's a home tie.
We'll come to that. It's a home tie versus LCL, but we'll come to that in a bit. I agree. I watched some of the games. I watched Fulham versus LCL as it happened, and London City Lionesses were pretty good, although Fulham are very much a fallen giant. They are not the Premier League as it was known then, title winners of 2000, 2003. They're a long way away from that now. But it was good to watch some non-Arsenal matches. And as you say, the men are out. The women are still in it. That game will be played later, which we'll get to in a bit. Before we begin, the icebreaker, and as I said, Renee Slegers is the Arsenal women full-time manager. She has dispensed of her interim title. So in the press conference, she was asked, when did she feel like she actually wanted the job? Because originally she was just drafted in to cover because Jonas had departed. And she said it was after the Manchester United away game. Now, I was there for that. Obviously, it's the one game we didn't win in this Renee run. But she went over to the fans and, we were singing her name and supporting her. And I think at that moment, I think it clicked for her. So my question to the pair of you, when did it click for you that Renee should be the manager of Arsenal? What moment did you sit and think yes, I would like to see her given the job full time? Matt, I'll come to you first.
Oh, well, I was actually content with her appointment. I think it just feels, before going to that, I just feel like a lot of it has been down to the fan reaction, compared to towards the end. Jonas wasn't really very popular among fans, as we've talked about. But it felt very much like fans pushed more than the players did in the end, and that's what got her over the line. So just a example, game against Liverpool away, they were singing Last Christmas to the tune of Renee Slegers. So I think it dawned on me then that I think that was sort of the time that they were trying to, the fans more so than the players were pressing to sort of say, look, she needs to get this job. I think it will be interesting to see how she does, because it's only it's 18 months essentially, because it's got until 25-26 season.
I don't know the exact length of the contract, but yeah, she hasn't been given like a Erling Haaland length of contract, shall we say. But I think it's given her enough time to grow into the role and judge her without being chained to her. But I think she's got enough time to grow into it. Lottie, when did the penny drop for you and think, actually, I'll quite like to see her given a longer run at this job than just say up to Christmas?
I think for me, it's probably Juve away after all that travelling.
Really?
Yeah, it was. After travelling, getting there, kind of getting into Milan Central, catching you, turning around, and going straight out to the game. And it was just it was then, because I wasn't expecting to take anything away from you, Ray.
No, neither was I. I was expecting a draw. I was expecting
I was expecting a solid draw, because I thought it was going to be a tricky run, but we cruised it. We completely cruised it. I mean, it was from there, and then obviously I ended up watching the Spurs game from Germany, and I was just like, damn you.
I keep forgetting. It's how amazing it was. That's the Spurs game. We beat Spurs 3-0 in their own stadium. Oh yeah, I keep forgetting that. Yeah, so what a great moment it was. There's been so many great.
Yeah, I've got to wait till next season to have one of those now, and it's the only thing missing from my list, and it's annoying me.
You never know. FA Cup might come around and might end up playing in the semi-final.
We never know. Something to look forward to there.
We'll see how seriously we take the cups this year. Obviously the Quincy Cup, but I mean, like, just the FA Cup as well. It's been a while.
Subway Cup and FA Cup. We could do a run in both of them. I'll put my cards on the table. It's the Subway Cup now. I've been to Derby. I've stayed next to the stadium.
Subway.
Neither do I, but it's a sub cup now. I'll put my cards on the table. I actually called this. I say called this. I made a bold prediction that I don't think I would be surprised to get the full-time job. And this was before. It was the press conference before the West Ham United away game. I actually wrote a piece on this saying, because I watched her in the press conference and I was just blown away by how managerial she sounded. I just heard that and I thought, you sound like a manager. You don't sound like an interim manager, like a caretaker who's covering. You sound like a full-time manager. And I could easily see you being the Arsenal manager full-time. Now, obviously, this was before West Ham away, which, let's be frank, was a rubbish game. We didn't see any really good football until after the international break, and that's when we did Brighton at home and we won 5-0. And I just think about that sort of game when early in the season we've been struggling against likes of Everton and Leicester City under Jonas, seeing us play with such freedom, such confidence, that as well as sort of reinforced my belief of I think Renee's got a chance here. I think she's got a real chance of getting it. And the longer the wait, the longer the search. You just only made, and then of course we get to the Bayern Munich game, and at that point it can be nobody else. But that West Ham conference, West Ham the build up to it, I heard watching it, I thought, I think actually we've got something potentially special here. But that's obviously the end of the interim Renee. We're now into full-time Renee, and we'll be discussing that in a bit. But there has been some other news we should just quickly get through. First, of course, is that Vivianne Lia has signed her first professional contract with the Arsenal. She has stepped up to the first team. I don't know if she's going to get a game at the weekend. My feeling is, as with the other youth players, which I believe are Madiel and Layla Harbour, I believe signed the contracts, I reckon they'll probably go out on loan. But Matt, as our academy reporter, expert, thoughts on Vivianne Lia becoming a full-time Gooner?
It's an interesting one because she actually turned 18, I believe, in September. So I think there was an expectation that we didn't. Usually when you turn 18, boom, here's your contract. This time around, it didn't really happen. I think Leah was looking at her options. There are some academy players that I've talked about recently that have decided that they're not going to stay with Arsenal come the end of the season because they don't have a development plan compared to some of the more higher prolific players in the academies, the likes of Leia Harbert and like Katie Reid have all been given development plans. Some of those players haven't. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But I have a feeling with what's going on, especially with some of the rumours floating around, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Vivianne Lia go out on loan. Speaking about potential places where she could end up, I wouldn't imagine that she wouldn't say no to Crystal Palace. I think she'll be more than willing to stay in and around London. So that gives her a couple of decent options in itself. So I think she's a really talented player as well. It's just all about where she's going to fit in the next couple of years. Because at this moment in time, if she's a winger, you've got about 6 or 7 players in front of you, and 2 of them aren't playing at the moment. Have barely got any minutes in Lynn Attic and Rosa Kafaji. So it's trying to figure out where she fits in at the moment.
It might be for someone like Vivianne Lia to be a case of not play the position that she likes, but to find a role for herself in the team. I think of someone like Katie McCabe, who came to Arsenal as a forward and has become one of the best left backs I would say in the league and certainly she was she was one of the nominees for EA Team of the Year, if that means anything. Alex Scott came to Arsenal. When Alex Scott came for the academy at Arsenal as a striker, it was only when she went to Birmingham, came back, she found her role as a right back at Arsenal and became an Arsenal legend for it. So, she's a winger now. That we have a lot of talented wingers in the team. It's a hard area to break into, but there could be a role for her in the team. It should there be an injury crisis and suddenly she needs to slot in. I'm thinking of also like look at the men's side, Miles Lewis-Skelly, a classic example, somebody who is shining because of and the opportunity would not be there if the other players were available.
At this moment in time, just quickly, Adam, sorry, I know you've got me on. If there was a position available, it would be left back. And that's only because Katie McCabe is currently playing a lot of minutes, and Steph Catley's playing as the centre back. So there's a role there for someone to take some minutes if needed.
I reckon a loan spell to either a champ high up in the Championship or lower down the table to WSL. Well, then again, look at the likes of Michelle Adjemang, who's at Brighton at the moment and is doing all right there. I mean, Brighton 5th at the moment, so that there could be a case for there. But I reckon Championship. Probably lower down, maybe a Charlton or an Undercity Lionesses. Something like that. I think LCR. There's rumours that London Lionesses are interested in bringing Freya Godfrey, I think, in as well. I mean, they've already got Taya Goldie, so we'll wait to see what happens there. One player who we are certain is going to be departing, and it's quite a sad one, but kind of inevitable, and that is Katrine Monaco. And it was confirmed in the press conference that she is looking to make her move out of the club. Everton was the name touted for a while, but it looks like Roma is the place where she may end up going. So all roads really do lead to Rome, and it seems that Monaco is heading that direction. Lottie is a fan of all things Italy, and obviously thoughts on Monaco and hope for maybe she can find a spark in at Rome, because it never really happened for Arsenal.
No, it never really did. I mean, if you look at the density of that midfield, you'd have to be something really, really special to break that. You'd have to have a season like Vic Akers did before she's done her ACL, and I don't think she's really had a chance. I think the Roma move is going to be really interesting because they are owned by the same people as Everton.
I believe so.
So she could come back. You never know.
Oh, you suggesting some inter-club swap players moving about potentially?
Don't see why not. People do it all the time.
Really?
Why not? And Everton could do with her. I know they've just signed Hayley Ladd from United, but I think they need the numbers at the moment, personally.
I would say, have you got any favourite Katrine Monaco moments? But the truth is, we never really saw her. Apart from the injury crisis season of 22-23.
I think Matt could probably answer that because obviously he watched her at Everton.
Well, yeah, it was actually a good point, Matt. So yeah, your Everton.
He's half Evertonian.
She really impressed out on loan, and I think that was the point, was that she needed minutes and she needed that chance to shine. With Everton, I think it was just so nice to see her. There was a time in the League Cup last season where she tried to play in the North London derby, where she was trying to play the ball and it just fell a little bit short. Things like that, she was actually able to do a lot better, and she was actually not guesstimating the passes. She was able to get her passes and get that flow a little bit better. So it does go to show you, get a little bit more game time, and that game starts to go. It's a bit of a shame, really, because she is very much a player that you look at and is definitely one for the future. The fact that her ceiling is very high as well, considering that one of her youth managers turned around and said that, look, she's got a higher ceiling than Pernille Harder. That's huge praise in itself.
I think this is probably a move that came to Arsenal too soon. I think, and poorly timed. I mean, we know that the midfield is going to expire soon, but you can't wait for that moment. I always say Victoria Pelova managed to make a chance for herself and took advantage of it, and is, well, she's out with an ACL, but rumours are she's close, which we'll get to in a bit. Molecule, the door never really opened for her. She had a few moments with that, let's say, with that injury season we had, and she's basically a player that we could play in that position because we just didn't have the players anymore. She just became a squad player that we could put in the midfield, and she would do a decent job. And I remember that game at Southampton in the League Cup away, and I thought, oh, she looks pretty good. But as you say, Matt, I think as the level increased, it just wasn't at that level. It is quite sad that it didn't work out, because she came at the same time as Pelova, and I had high hopes for both. But I think we can see which way the direction is going, and wish all the best at Roma, and hopefully we can hopefully she can show the world what we missed out on. Moving on to the FA Cup, obviously there was meant to be a game last weekend, and we were hoping to maybe have reviewed it maybe during the week. Alas, no frozen pitches strike once again. The game has been rescheduled to the 29th of January 1945 kickoff, 7:45 kickoff, and it was sandwiched between our away trips to Chelsea and Manchester City. Thank you for that. And should Arsenal win, we will play. Should we win? Caveat that. We will hopefully be playing London City Lionesses at home, which, again, very interesting. They are a club who have a strong financial backing in the Championship, which is becoming a bit more common with the likes of Newcastle United as well. So very excited to see what the LCL bring. I remember the last time they came to Arsenal in the FA Cup, we won 1-0, and it was one of the worst games I've ever watched. I imagine this game will be slightly different. LCL got a lot more talent in their ranks. A few ex-Arsenal players, but obviously a few Swedish intro players as well, which is quite exciting. We should go into. Sorry, Lottie, did you want to come in on that one?
Yeah, I did. I was just trying to think. Rusha still plays down there, doesn't she?
Well, there is a rumor that Okay, we have to. Okay, as you have raised this, we should raise it properly. There is a rumor. I have no idea if it's true or not, that potentially her position might be affected by, and because of the whole thing of squad numbers and the players to come in and players to go out. And there was a rumor going around social media. No factual basis, but I don't know if it's true or not, that maybe she might be the one to be sacrificed to bring in a player from Arsenal. That was a rumor that's around social media. Of course, for the Schadenfreude, it's very funny. We'll see if that's indeed how it plays out. But yeah, I did see that, and it did make me raise an eyebrow. Really,
I wasn't referring to that, but so that's news to me.
Yeah, it was. But yeah, there is. But we should acknowledge that. But yes,
preparing for Katie McCabe and Rusha Littlejohn for showdown.
Wow.
So we all know what happened there.
Well, we know what happened there, but I tried to pay no attention to that nonsense, because this is all about the football. This is not all about a gossip corner. In all seriousness, the big news, and we did lean on it earlier, but we should acknowledge it, and that is Arsenal do finally have the replacement for Jonas Eideveld. They have taken a leaf out of Jonas's previous club, which I can never remember if it's Rosengard or Rosenborg. I do apologise. What?
Rosengard.
and they've basically gone for the successor again, and that is Renee Slegers. So, obvious question. I'll come to you with some Lottie first. Have Arsenal made the right choice?
Is that even a question? Of course they have. I mean, Man United away might not have gone out the way we wanted it to, but that can be rectified at the end of the season because we play them last, so that can be rectified. That's nothing to be worried about. But yeah, no, I'm definitely happy with it. I'm just looking forward to picking up that wonderful 10-game winning run.
Yes, it's been 10 out of 11 we've won so far, so keep that momentum going. Yeah, Matt, thoughts on the appointment? I mean, were there any other names that you heard around thought could maybe go for? Was this the only option on the table?
I think there were plenty of options, as it has been mentioned by Claire Wheatley, that they went from about 40 odd candidates down to 4 or 5, and that 4 and 5 became 2. The one candidate that stood out for me, although I don't know whether or not she was interviewed or not, was Maria Cabral. Again, it was a manager that I thought would have done really well because she would have been able to develop the youngsters and then bring them into the first team. She has plenty of experience with that with Sporting. I just at this moment in time, again, on content, because it feels more like the fan pressure has meant Renee's got the job. Obviously, what Renee's done at the moment is fantastic, albeit the only tough game you could probably say was the Bayern Munich game. But the real test will be at Stamford Bridge in a week's time against Chelsea. To be honest, whether or not she can change that 2-1 defeat into
3-1 defeat, wasn't it?
Was it 3-1? I thought it was 2-1.
It was, unfortunately.
You know what? I think we were playing so poorly. I think everyone lost count of the score. That's how bad it was. And it was just, if she can change that result into, say, a win, that's huge. Never won at Stamford Bridge before, so that then builds the momentum even more. Again, it's always, but for me, it's also about the response afterwards. So if she, say, loses that game 1-0, what's the response going to be? What's the response for the next game?
Well, hopefully it's winning the FA Cup.
That's the other thing as well. You've got Man City on the Sunday as well. So it's all about making sure that you respond well and not. And I think from what she's saying as well, she's actually very much into the 4 pillars of coaching: the physiological, psychological, the technical and tactical, and all that. So it feels very much like she's an English FA coach, if you know. If those that know that, essentially is that the English FA have picked out these 4 corners. That's what your philosophy is. You build from that, basically, and she's built from that. So it's interesting.
It's going to see how it does play out. As you say, the 2 big interesting games, which are Chelsea away and Manchester City away. Should we still be in a position where we judge her in every single game? I know we were sort of like that in the interim period because it felt like each game was like an interview for her job, and the more she won, the more it felt like she should get the job. And the Bayern Munich game was like the final boss of a video game, and she won that one, which was great. But at the moment now, she has got the job. She's no longer managing a team to get results to try and get herself a job, because she's already won in that sense. She has the keys to the training ground. She is now the full-time manager. So now that the focus is not about win this game for me to get a job, it's now all about the season. And I mean, I don't think if we go to Chelsea away, we'll probably lose. Just say, for example, because they are unbeaten this season. They are quite a good team, and as you say, Matt, we never lost Stamford Bridge, so hypothetically we lose. I don't think at that point we should just go, oh, the project's failed, immediately. I think there is a.
Hang on a minute. Yeah. Did you say they've never lost to Stamford Bridge? Or are you talking WSL never lost at the Stamford Bridge?
Arsenal WSL. I'm talking about Arsenal women haven't won at Stamford Bridge. The men have done it plenty of times. It's practically like a second home now. But I just want you. It's different how the mentality shifts from interim to full-time manager, and how going into these games is going to be different. They're 2 very difficult games. If Renee wins them both, I mean, the season's back on. I mean, that's going to be a follow-up question to you, actually, is what should our expectations now be for the rest of the season? Is the quadruple back on, Matt?
I would say.
I exaggerate, but yes.
Yeah, I think the best thing for her to do is to look at WSL as like a precursor to next season. So make sure you get into the Champions League first and foremost. If it's second, if it's third, okay, we can sort of deal with that because we've had that in the past. But we would need to see development further up the league. I mean, the 2 third place finishes. I don't think a lot of people are happy about that, but eventually you got the Champions League, albeit last season because of what happened in the penalty shootout against Paris. I think I've said at the start of the season that I wanted to see an FA Cup win. I want to see us get a day out at Wembley. I'll be happy with that. I think as well we might see the Conti Cup become a huge part of what Renee's about as well, because of not only because of us being labelled double champions, there's a chance to become triple champions as well, which isn't really done in cup competitions unless you're in the men's team and you have 100 and extra billion pounds lying around and they can spend it on whoever you want.
Oh, do you know what? That's really disappointing. I was hoping you were going to say 115 charges hanging over your head. Okay.
Yeah, it's. I think a cup run is what I think is maybe the best option. I would love an FA Cup run. The last time we got to the last time we got to the final didn't go so well, and we've not been able to generate momentum in these competitions because we get to the next round and it's Chelsea away, it's Manchester City at home, and we're out. You want it. At least we know this time around there is a pathway where we know we can go at least potentially. We could go a bit deeper into the competition because Chelsea, Manchester City have been drawn elsewhere. I think, as you say, Matt, a build it to the next season. I think back to when Joe Montemurro took over mid-season. At that point, the league title was pretty much a write-off. So it was just about building up the practices and the methods of how they wanted to play, so that when they came into the next season, they were in a much stronger position, and then they could go forth. And obviously, they won the league the following season, which was quite nice. I think I think Renee has earned the trust of the fans, which I don't think Jonas ever really got. And I think it's also towards the end, but I do feel like that she is an appointment that the fans wanted. And I don't think we can really say that about an Arsenal manager for quite some time, really, where would say, because obviously the culture is different now, but this is probably the first time where there is a manager which has been supported by the fans before they've actually arrived at the club. It's a very interesting dynamic, that, which I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out, because fans can be fickle, and a few bad results, and then see how long that lasts. We shall move on though to the game at the weekend. Renee's first as full-time manager of the Arsenal at Meadow Park. Arsenal versus Crystal Palace. Now, question for the pair of you. Can you remember the last time the Arsenal women played Crystal Palace? No? Lottie? No? Matt, any ideas?
I'm going to have a guess. Was it the League Cup?
Close. It was the FA Cup in 2021. It was Joe Montemurro's last game in charge. It was during the lockdown season, we should say. And it finished 9-0 to Arsenal. So, of that 9-0, how many goal scorers do you reckon you could name? We'll do one each.
Right in there.
Yep, that's correct. So Vivianne Lia, we can tick her off right from the off. Yep, she
How
scored.
many did she score?
One.
Just the one.
Just the one. Yeah.
I'm going to say Beth.
Beth Mead.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's correct, Matt. Okay, back to you, Lottie.
Caitlin Ford.
No, good idea, but no, Matt.
I'm going to go Kim Little.
Yep, Kim Little scored a penalty, of course.
Katie.
Yep, McCabe scored right at the end.
Leah Williamson.
And Leah Williamson. I'll give you one more guess each, and then
I was going to say who would have been playing at the time. No, Steph wouldn't have scored. Steph never used to score unless it were. So, no, Jill Roord. I think
Jill Roord is correct. Yeah, Jill, last goal for Arsenal was scored in that game. Jill Roord for her move to Wolfsburg, I believe. And there was one other person who scored on their. It was their last game for Arsenal.
Oh, I know this one.
Go on, Matt. Who was it?
Van der Donk.
It was Van der Donk, absolutely. The other player was Jordan Nobbs, scored as well, and a brace from a certain Noel Maritz. The only goal she scored for Arsenal were scored in that game, but that's pretty good. 6 out of 9 is a pretty good haul. I don't think it'll be 9-0 this time around somehow. I think it will. Crystal Palace are a tougher prospect.
I think it may be like in the 5-0 kind of mark, but they've also. I just hope our backline are stay on their toes at this point.
Yes, so we should just say at the moment, Palace are the newly promoted side this season, and as with all newly promoted sides, it's been a really rough start. 5 points so far, no wins in the last 5. 1 win all season. That was a 2-0 win away at Leicester City, and the last game was a 1-0. I believe it's right, a 1-0 loss at home to Manchester United, and it was a goal right on the cusp of half time. They made a bit of a defensive gaff, and I think it was Grace Clinton who scored it. So, Lottie, Crystal Palace this season, what are your thoughts?
Do you know what they're doing better than Bristol City did? So,
well, yes.
that's one thing. They got an away win at Leicester. Do you know what I mean? They are obviously scoring, which is good. Whereas Bristol City just weren't doing anything. They couldn't break the lines and get into the back of the net all the time. I've enjoyed watching some of them. I've particularly enjoyed watching Annabelle Blanchard.
Mm-hmm.
Annabelle Blanchard. Katie Stang. We know that Katie Stang was down there. She's back in the WSL after leaving Liverpool. So yeah, it's good.
It's good. I mean, I'm always for the underdog. I always want the newly promoted teams to do well and settle into the league and have a strong run at it. And looking down at the Championship, there are a few candidates for clubs, for teams who could do just that. As things stand, though, they are only 1 point from safety. Leicester City above them by 1 point. West Ham United just 3 points above, and only 4 points above from the cluster of teams, Liverpool, Aston Villa and Everton. So it's not, I mean, last season, I think it was pretty much by Christmas, Bristol City were relegated, and it was just a matter of time before they were. Crystal Palace have got a fighting chance, and there's been some really exciting games. I think the West Ham away game, I think there's a game against Aston Villa where they have scored goals, but it's just keeping the defence tight, and they just maybe haven't been able to find that balance. It's either been ridiculous high-scoring games that they've lost, or they've lost by the tight margin, so it's either one or the other. Matt, from your perspective, I mean, obviously it's a relegation battle between your Everton and Crystal Palace this season. Can Crystal Palace stay up?
I think what's different this time is that Palace have actually gone out and got WSL experience, or players that need that WSL experience and have gone out. So I think Blanchard is one of those players. I think she came from Chelsea, if I remember rightly. But there's been a couple of loans from Chelsea to Palace that have gone in and out through this window at the moment. So,
yes, I did also want to touch on that quickly. So they had Brooke Aspin, Georgia Fox from Chelsea. They both got ACLs and had to go back, which is rotten luck. Poppy Pritchard came from Manchester City, but she's now gone back. And Lily Woodham, who's actually on loan from Seattle Reign, but she's due to go back at the end of the month. So they've used the loan market, but they sort of worked. It hasn't worked out for them in that sense because the talent hasn't been able to prosper for one reason or another.
Matt, I just double checked. Annabelle Blanchard came from Liverpool.
Right, okay.
And she's been at Liverpool and Leicester City and Blackburn Rovers.
Yeah, see, this is the thing: is you get so many names that you have to throw out. It's just one of them's going to have to stick. So, yeah, for them to get to this stage, be 6 points and still in it. Let's be honest. I mean, this is between, I think, up to Aston Villa, who are 7th at the moment.
Yeah.
There's only 4 points in it, so it's not. It might not be 14 points are enough to keep you in the WSL this season. And that's been. I've actually looked back. The last time, it's been very much that you get. You stay up by a couple of points and then that's it. You sort of fade off. I think this season it's going to go to the wire,
which it should be.
And I think that helps people out a little bit more. It keeps people watching as well. If you're not really a fan, and let's say Chelsea, Arsenal, Man City, let's say they've all got quarterfinals. Quarterfinal weekend is in the Champions League. So they're not playing, which means Man United aren't playing, which means that between the rest of the WSL, they can go out and promote themselves a little bit more. So it'll be interesting to see how they do as well with the window. If they can get a couple of players in, that helps them. They can, and probably keeps them up. Like I mentioned earlier, I think Vivianne Lia might be one of those players that they might look at. Freya Godfrey as well. She might be one to be looking at as well. It's not like they're short in numbers or anything like that. They just need those players that have that experience or need that experience to make sure that they are going to be in the next couple of years a WSL player. It might not be for their current clubs, but it'll be for other clubs that might come the end of their contract. So I think Palace will definitely stay up. I think that is definitely.
If you think Palace are going to stay up, who do you think is going to go down?
I think West Ham. And
okay. All right.
It feels very much like, if you look at the table for the last couple of years, West Ham have been near the bottom of the table, bar one season where Everton finished second from bottom and Leicester. So it feels if you're still hanging around in there and you're still managing to stay
inevitable,
up,
doesn't it?
Yes,
it's going to happen at some point.
That's what happened to Bristol City. It happened to Birmingham City. It happened to Reading.
Yep.
So sooner or later, it's going to happen. It's going to happen to your club.
Thing is, I'm looking at this table, and I think anybody who's got below 17 points at this point in the season, I don't think they're going to be safe.
I mean, Liverpool are a real. I mean, so we are going into
they've only got 12. They've only got 12 at the minute.
Liverpool.
And that's just gone up because they're currently winning as we're recording this.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I was going to say I thought they were 9, but yeah.
Team that I think is safe in that little mix there is Aston Villa.
Because they sacked their manager.
Not just because of that, but because of how they've recruited. With Sean Goethe in charge as well at the moment, he knows women's football quite well at the moment.
I think we should wait and see what happens. We've just come back from the break.
Yeah.
I know people have been playing their FA Cup, but when we haven't even got started in 2025 yet. But see what happens with it. I mean, it's not like they haven't got the talent, haven't got the bodies.
Well, Villa.
To keep themselves out of relegation, but there's still something not quite right at the club. I can't put my finger on it though. That's the problem, and you can see it in the way that the players are playing.
Well, the exciting thing about this weekend, and I will move on to Arsenal in a bit, but the exciting thing is this is once we complete this run of games, we are slap bang halfway through the WSL season. So you get at that point, you get everyone's played everybody in theory.
It's just typical that we get a really tough block. I mean, we've got Palace, okay, fair enough.
But it's the Chelsea and the Man City afterwards. Yeah.
It's the Brighton, Chelsea. Well, Brighton's in the cup, but it's Brighton, Chelsea, and City in between, and then also you've also got Bristol City in there. It's a busy block.
It's a busy block, but what I mean is after you've played Palace, everybody would have played everybody, so you can sort of get an idea of where the table as accurately is. And I think that's what I'm sort of looking forward to. So with Arsenal, obviously home to Palace, the news coming into it is that Palova and Ilestedt are back. They are on the training pitch. They are in the building, training. And, any predictions? When do you reckon? February? Do you reckon maybe? They see them maybe again play for the Arsenal or March?
I say North London Derby. Might be too soon though.
Emirates Stadium, North London Derby. We should just quickly say on that one. I think they're saying 35,000 tickets have been sold already. They're still on sale. Do make sure you get your ticket. You don't want to miss this. Renee Slegers' first game at Emirates Stadium as full-time manager is a North London Derby against Spurs at Emirates Stadium. Get your ticket. Come along. It's going to be amazing. Sorry, Lottie. Or Matt.
With Palova, I think we're going to see her towards the end of the season a little bit more. Because of the ACL injury, I think she's not 100% up to speed. With Amanda, I think we might see her more towards the cup competition, so I probably wouldn't be surprised if we see her against Bristol City.
You think we might see Amanda this week, that soon?
Not this to get the.
Well, the game is not this week, the week after. Sorry.
I think they'll probably with a couple of them they'll probably put them in the either in the under-21s or they'll put them with the under-21s just to get them into that match fitness. I don't think Palova's there just yet. She might be on the field training, but she's not going to be. Roughly an ACL is about 9 months, so she's only done about 6 months so far, and she's out on the pitch. So just estimating at the moment that she won't be. Palova will probably come back around about towards the end of the season more than this. I think the worst thing to happen at the moment would be for Palova to come back on and have a Taylor Goldie moment where she's training and all of a sudden it happens again.
Yeah, or we get, and we should always say with ACLs, as we've seen with the other players, setbacks are common. Players, just because you have the one injury, then it spirals into another, and we've seen it with Miedemar at Manchester City, and hopefully with Palova, it's a good return, it's a strong return, because we have missed her in the midfield this season. So. First game back, it's back at Meadow Park. Last time we played at Meadow Park, I think we can all agree it went rather well. Lottie, how excited are you? I'm assuming you're here for this one. How excited?
Yeah, I'm back in the South Stands this time around.
Oh, so how excited are you for back at Meadow Park?
I'm very excited because I don't have to walk through that awful muddy part this time round.
Yes.
I'm still scraping mud off my trainers. I got stuck, so literally stuck in the mud, and I was late in. So. Yeah, no, looking forward to it. It's a 2:00 kickoff. It's not a 12:30 kickoff, which makes me very happy.
Yeah.
Just looking just to come out and just sit with the girls, basically.
We'll go through what we think.
Hoping for a good game, at least.
I'm hoping for a good game as well. I think it should be a good game, and I think one of the problems we've had with, I've said before, with returns from winter is Arsenal bring the cold with them onto the pitch, and they aren't sharp and firing. This is the perfect game for them to shake off the Christmas chill and come out firing. Get themselves warmed up, because there are big games on the horizon. This is the perfect. I'm hoping it's not going to be a Birmingham City away rather. I'm hoping it's going to be it's going to be a good game where we can get. We'll have to say it because that will forever remain.
I was there for that one.
I know you were, and that's why I said it. Birmingham City away will be forever be Jonas the many Nadirs, but that was the moment where sort of like we all woke up and was like, oh, okay, this is how it's going to play out. But I'm hoping for a positive start to the new year, because that really helps to get that positive start and get that momentum going, because we had really strong momentum before the winter break, and we need to hopefully pick that up again, whether it be Russo scoring the goals, goal a month goals, get that golden boot campaign going, or Mario and Kyra in the midfield. So that brings on to the next point, which is team predictions. What are we thinking? Lottie, goalkeepers. I mean, where are we left off on that one?
Yeah.
Do we get Manu again, because she hasn't had one for a while?
It'd be Daphne, I think.
Daphne?
Yeah.
Matt, any thoughts on the defence?
Defence. I think we'll see Katie McKay play left back. That probably leaves Steph Catley and Leah Williamson as the centre back partners. Then that leaves Emily Fox as a right back.
Oh, yep. So I just remember I was really thinking that Emily Fox wasn't back, but that was for the FA Cup game, so she is actually back now. So yes, I can't wait to see Emily Fox back at the in the right back. I mean, for me, she's a candidate for player of the season, although I have a sneaky suspicion Russo might run away with that one. Lottie, midfields?
Gonna go with Leah Volti.
Okay.
And I'm gonna go Kyra.
I was thinking the same. Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't think Kimmy's going to be playing full minutes anymore. So
I think, like with the Bayern game, I think that Rennie will keep Kim for the Chelsea and Manchester City games. And I think that's the way that he'll play it.
Thing is, because in those big games, you need the experience.
And Kim Little loves the game against Chelsea.
Exactly. And as much as I adore Kyra Cooney-Cross, I'd rather vote for the good old experience over someone green, so to speak.
Go for the little Velty partnership in the midfield. Well, Matt, I'll give you free rein then to lay out how we're going to attack then.
I would imagine that Russo's on the bench.
Who on the bench?
I'm joking.
I thought you said Rosa on the bench. Rosa
Those
Kafaji
weekend, I hope
Rosa
so.
Kafaji on the bench, that's nothing new. So
unless Eurus are up top, I think we'll see Beth Mead and it'll be Caitlin Ford. Actually, no, hold on. No, I think Beth's going to be on the bench. I think Mariano Caldenti on the left, Caitlin Ford on the right, even.
well, I'll pass this one over to you on that one, Lottie, because Matt's sort of half raised it. Rosa Kafaji, we've barely seen her. The talk was, well, she's been playing non-stop because of the Swedish league, how it lines up with our league. So she's basically just been carrying on the season, but she's had the winter break. I say this with a but like I know you want to see some Kafaji magic because you've sadly missed out so far. Crystal Palace at home, surely this is a great chance to see Rosa be Rosa, what we were hoping for when she arrived.
The thing is, I don't see why not, but I'd also unleash her on Chelsea during the second half. They couldn't cope with her at the Emirates. It was great. So it's a case of timing on when you bring her on, if you're going to bring her on from the bench. I mean, like during that second half, from where we were sitting, like they were just complete the back line was just being kind of opened up, and it was great. It's a case of how well she's going to click with everyone else. She does like to steamroll ahead on her own, and because that's what she's used to doing. And that's why she was the star goal over in Sweden. Are we including the 10 in this front?
Well, Matt, you did. You said? Was it Ford left?
Ford. Well, Ford on the right, Caldenti on the left, and then Russo at the top.
And who's at the 10? Frida.
You didn't give me a 10.
I thought you'd do the 10. I thought you'd.
Okay,
because you said you had like a double pivot, so.
Okay. So, oh god, I'm going to change the front. Sorry, Matt. I'm going to go Caldenti at 10, Rosa on the left, Russo up top, and Ford on the right. I think that could be interesting.
I would love to see, and this is again feeding back into Renee now getting the job. When she first started, it was sort of keeping things the same, not trying to disrupt anything too much to sort of keep the team ticking over. But now that she is the manager, she can paint this team in her own image. And you'd think that with the work that she's done in a previous role of the club, being with the players, she would have a really good idea of where the players should be playing. And I think maybe we started to see that towards the end of the year, with sort of Steph Catley being moved into a left centre-back position.
Even Caitlin Ford, I'm not complaining. I'm enjoying watching Caitlin Ford again, and it's nice.
It's nice, it's nice.
It's nice, although I know Matt's face on the screen right now will disagree with me.
He's got some better, but I'm not at that. I think the problem is this season I haven't been
You're not quite on the same boat as me yet.
It's not that. It's because you two are there more regularly than I am at the moment, and so I'm not able to get those little bits of fun and joy that you see. So it's like going back to going and saying about Kim Little. We won't appreciate Kim Little unless you've seen her play in front of you.
Absolutely.
If to bring us to an end, especially we discussed the team and we discussed Renee. If there was one thing you would like Renee to change, if it's something you feel that needs to be changed, and it would be in the club or in the team, that she's now basically got the opportunity to express herself as a manager. She's not playing to, she's not managing to get the job. She has a job. She can now do what she basically launched the team. What do you think she needs to do to get Arsenal to that next level? Would it be sign somebody or change something in the team or anything that springs to mind? I have dropped this as a cold one on the end, but I thought it might be something to see what your thoughts were.
I think the problem is with when it comes to signings, we're seeing at the moment rumours left, right, and centre, things like Trinity Rodman and
Trinity Rodman. Oh, come on, Matt. That sorry.
No, seriously, this is a natural thing. She's actually put it out there that she said, "Why not?" So
no, she hasn't.
She has on Instagram live. She has. You're actually going to search this, aren't you? Now,
no, because I have seen it. Matt, because I've seen the Instagram live or the clip of it where people in the comments were saying "Come to Arsenal," and she was acting very surprised. And I think that's called humouring the fan base. Well, we'll
wait and see what happens. But the whole point is that there's Arsenal as a whole is a club that doesn't need to put you to turn around and say to the player, you need to come to Arsenal. It's the club itself pulls in the players. It's more about what you want to do. Are you going to look towards the future? Are you going to look at some of these great players coming through and give them a pathway where they can play and develop alongside some of these fantastic international players that we'll be playing with week in and week out? Or are you going to be a team that just, like Chelsea, you're going to hoard these players and you're just going to loan them out and then eventually sell them for pennies because you can't or you don't want to be, you want to, success is at everything at the moment is the first thing. It depends. I think that's the problem, is finding the right strategy and making sure that there's a pathway for everyone at the moment, because there's no point in some of these players signing and then 2 years down the road there isn't a pathway for them, because say Kira Walsh is playing that position and you've also got say Kim Little still there.
Yeah.
So you've got two players blocking that way. There needs to be a pathway for these players to come in. That's what I think. With Renee also being a former Arsenal academy player, I think that will also help as well.
I would like to see the academy players given the younger players more time. I think you made a really good point about that. Renee's one of her first times playing football was with Arsenal. She had a moment with the academy, did play one game off the bench. I would hope that maybe there is a bit more clarity around that. As you say, we're bringing the likes of Layla Harbert and Maddie Earl through, and then suddenly we might just bring in an expensive midfielder. And it's like, well, hang on a minute, you're promising them the world, and then you're closing the door in their face. We all like to see academy players have a go at it, and maybe you're right, Matt, with Renee being an ex-academy player, maybe she'll lean a bit more towards them, because I think there is a lot of talent in there. We've already seen Katie Reid coming into the team. She is ready, I think, at this level, and that's another player I think maybe who could have a shout at the weekend. Probably off the bench, maybe, as a chance of minutes. Lottie, is there anything you would like to see happen at the club, apart from winning a trophy? Obvious one. But is there anything you would like to see Renee do in particular that you think maybe the club hasn't done?
Yeah, just growing the talent at this point. I'd like to see a few more academy players coming through. I mean, with the men's team, we're seeing Marslow, Skelly come through, Ethan and Wary. I'd want to see that more coming from the women's academy, if I'm honest with you. I want to see some more Vivianne Lia. I want to see more Layla Harbert. I want to see more
Michelle Adjumang, Fred Godfrey. No.
No. The other one that's signed a contract.
Well, there's Matt. Oh, well, there was Vivianne Lia,
Maddie. That's the one. That's the one. I want to see more, because obviously where Matt is always watching these guys, and you hear so much, you hear like how he talks about them. You want to see more. You want to see them live so you can appreciate the talent.
Yeah,
it's all very well reading and all that, but I just don't get a feel from a player just from reading. I need to like physically watch them, and that's why I get so excited every time we get new signings. People like Kyra Cooney-Cross, Rosa Kafaji, Linda Hurted. I get excited because I've physically seen them play, and it's like, okay, this is what you can bring to Arsenal. How does this puzzle piece fit in? And that's what I want to see from the academy players. I want to see, where do you fit? We're just about seeing Katie Reid at the moment. She's slowly getting minutes, but we want more. I want more.
Yeah, and I do think the team is at a point where a lot of the bigger names are either going to retire, or they are going to.
Let's just say it. We're aging. We
are aging.
Blood.
Yeah,
I love everybody, but it's just the sad fact of life.
There are players, I think, who have been great servants of the club. I'm not going to say any names because it's about conspiracies, but there are players who we're not saying this because we don't like him. We're not here with agendas. There are players who've been great servants of the club who I think need a fresher challenge. I think there are players who have had amazing careers, but I think their careers are near their end. And you need to be in a position that you're like in a relay race, have somebody ready to grab that baton off them and have that as a smooth succession. And I think there are some. Won't be all of them, sadly. Not all of them make the grade, but there are one or two. Katie Reid being one, and I think maybe one of the others in that pool could maybe be a breakout star, a Miles Lewis Skelly, if you will, or an Ethan Nweri. But that's for the rest of the season to find out. That's the job Renee has on her hands. She's got a squad that has underperformed for too long, who need to win a league title. We've got an FA Cup game coming up. We've got the return of the Subway Cup. But most importantly, this weekend, it's Arsenal versus Crystal Palace. And hopefully we can start the new Renee reign with a win. Before we end, just a quick shout out for your socials, Matt.
You can find me at MattLR28.
Excellent. Where on the Twitter sphere, or your Blue Sky yet?
On Twitter, and I'm also on Blue Sky as well.
Absolutely. Lottie, where can we find you, and where can we find the pod?
You can find the pod on VAW Pod on Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky. You can find me on Twitter, although I probably won't allow you into my Twitter, Lottie_AWFC, unless I actually know you. My profile exists on there, but I don't use it. So come and find me on Blue Sky. Come and find me on Instagram at VAW Pod.
Absolutely. Do give the pod a follow. Do give us a like and subscribe on our YouTube, so you can you never miss an episode. And you can follow me at Adam_Salter4 on Insta and Twitter. And you can find me on Blue Sky at AdamSalter4. Unfortunately, I realized later I don't do underscores on Blue Sky, which is very annoying. I know Lottie's saying, well, Lottie took the mick out of me for putting one in, and then I realized I've scuppered myself because Blue Sky don't have them.
No, because I started doing underscores, and then you started doing underscores, and I was like, what is going on? It was like, what on earth is going on in the House of Commons?
I thought it was the done thing. You can also follow all things historical about the Arsenal women at the Arsenal Women Archive, which is on Blue Sky and Twitter. Lots of great clips from yesteryear coming through. We've got a clip coming up at the end of the month from the very early 90s, which I'm very much looking forward to sharing. And if you want to follow my historical work, archiving and reporting and writing about the Arsenal women of yesteryears, do follow my work on Wikipedia. We are working through the seasons as we speak. We're up to 2002, 2003, and we're hoping to hit the 1990s very soon, which I'm very excited about. But enough about the past. It's about the present. It's about the future. Arsenal versus Crystal Palace, Meadow Park. Lottie, I think you said it was a 2:00 kickoff. So make sure you get your tickets. Come along, support the team.
Well, it's actually sold out, so you can't get your tickets.
Oh, you can't get tickets anymore? That's a shame.
It's sold out. I'm still hunting tickets down. It's sold out.
Do tune in on the Arsenal website. And they get to open at 12:30. Yeah. Do tune in on the Arsenal website to watch along, and let's hope the Renaissance, the Renaulution begins with a win. Come on, you Gunners.